The Adventures of Elliot, you say, Square Enix? Wow, say no more. I don't know who the fuck Elliot is or why you think I would be excited about them being on adventures, but I get good vibes from the way their name is very nearly an anagram of toilet. Adventures of Toilet is from the team that brought you such equally unenticingly named games as Octopath Traveler and utilises the same visual style of having 16-bit Final Fantasy VI style pixel art sprites and textures pissing about in realistically lit 3D environments with more tilt shifting than a pinball table removal service, which Square Enix has apparently trademarked as the HD2D system. So they'll presumably be coming down very hard on Legoland one of these days. But in contrast to the Octopus Tickler games, Adventures of T.S. Eliot is a real-time action game along the lines of a Zelda if you're an obvious basic bitch, or something like East the Oath in Felghana if you're a clever obscure reference-knowing ubermensch. The game follows the adventures of, well, Elliot, a fairly standard pop-out of the anime Swordboy mold, whose style role model is the Red Mage from Final Fantasy, and lists his career as adventurer on his CV, and literally introduces himself to most people as Elliot the Adventurer, which is all very cute because the world in which he lives is about half a mile across, so the job of adventurer could probably be made entirely redundant inside an afternoon. There's only one human city in the bottom right corner, and the rest of the world is a variety of biomes populated by hostile animal-human hybrids who've got a real narc-on for Straight Humanity Classic and their hoity-toity living in actual houses bullshit. In the city, a moustache-twirling advisor to the king, who really seems to be trying to see how obviously he can be a villain before someone calls him out on it, tells the king he really wants to loot some nearby dangerous ruins for powerful magic weapons, and can he please have a few royal soldiers to cold-bloodedly sacrifice for the sake of his ambitions. Whereupon the king's all like, no, that would be very obviously evil, but I'll tell you what, let's enlist that adventurer fella to do it. He's had sod all to do since he spent all of 10 minutes mapping out the entirety of the world, and so the king and his hot daughter call Elliot in, and he's all like, I will totally do that because I'm a hero and I'm all about doing my bit for the rest of humanity, and look up, motherfucker, it's not called The Adventures of Expendable Royal Guard number 3. You might have already noticed that this plot leans a bit simplified, and even more so when we learn the city is protected by a magic shield maintained by the hot princess who is very clearly warm for Elliot's form. And I call this simplified because it means when the inevitable wibbly-wobbly purple badness shows up, it can threaten the princess and simultaneously threaten the entire human race, and Elliot's future chances of getting his hands warm in some of that sweet coronation compost. Now that's efficiency. Simple really is the watchword of Adventures of Lavatory. Gameplay consists mostly of your classic top-down Zelda-style press button to swing sword. Hey, we've got all these other weapons too! Here's a spear and a hammer and a scythe on a bit of chain. Thanks, game, I'll be sure to not use any of them, just to prove a point and annoy you. For you see, simple also characterises the challenge offered by the game, and it keeps track of how many enemies you've killed without getting hurt yourself, and this was routinely getting into the 50s. And I suck at everything! On top of that, you can carry healing items that can be used instantly, and on top of that, if you ever manage to die, you can toss a pittance of coins to your fairy sidekick and get instantly resurrected. Ah yes, the fairy sidekick. For some reason the game considers it important that there be a support character permanently installed in the corner of the screen like the fucking MST3K robots to comment on events and give hints such as, you just picked up a coin, and have you tried not getting hit? Initially this character is the hot princess, and it's tolerable as she's more diplomatic in demeanour, and we can imagine Elliot putting up with it, the way a harangued boyfriend puts up with his sweetums dribbling on about her bullshit. But then at probably not coincidentally the very moment the free demo ends and Square Enix already has your money, she gets dropped out for a different character, a magical fairy with a voice like Sarah Silverman squeezing a wet plastic bag in her hands. And it's like the sweetums got replaced with an ear canal dwelling scorpion with a fire alarm strapped to its head. Whatever, you can always turn the voice volume down, or indeed drown the entire game out by listening to something else, which is what I did. It's quite a long and repetitive game. The premise is that Elliot has to time travel between 4 different eras for various reasons, but besides the human city, the world map doesn't actually change much from time period to time period. Each era has the same layout of caves and dungeons, and it can be a bit confusing to keep track of which versions of them you've already cleared. It's not like they leave the fucking milk bottles out. But that and screechy earpiece support character aside, Adventures of Water Closet is a very comfort food sort of game that I for one was grateful to have on hand during 2 recent long plane flights, full of easy combat, repeated scenery, and very obvious story turns. The overall plot ends up being about humanity having to learn to overcome prejudice and live alongside a species of people who look exactly like humans, but with cat ears. So yeah, it's the Metaphor Fantasio thing again. Hey, we want to confront the weighty topic of racism, but can we do it in a way that means everyone can still be an attractive white person, and ideally with a slightly fetishistic undercurrent? But then anything else wouldn't be comfortable, I suppose. Final note is that the game really takes the piss when it comes to drawing out the true ending. I was a bit suspicious when my sole objective was go here and kill the final boss, and there were like 6 dungeons I hadn't been obligated to finish yet, so I killed the boss, and sure enough the game went, what the fuck did you do that for, you idiot? Because you told me to. Bad ending. I guess I should drop a spoiler warning before I go on. There are ending spoilers coming, so some of you had better stop, because spoilers are these things that blatantly give away the plot. Turns out I had to kill the boss with a specific magic sword, so I went to 3 more dungeons to put the bits of it together, killed the boss as instructed, and hooray, the beast's power is locked away. The princess is saved. You're a hero. But why the long face, Elliot? Oh, I don't know. I can't help but think I forgot something. What do you mean you forgot something? Bad ending too. What? So again, I go back into the game, pursue another story thread, do a couple more dungeons, and get the big reveal. The final boss is Elliot's mum. No, seriously. So now we have to not kill her and try to talk her down instead. So all that business getting the magic sword was a complete waste of time, was it? Yes, it was, and I'm not sorry. Whatever. I talk my mum down and mum apologizes to the princess and they become besties, and once again the world is safe and racism is over, and surely this has to be the true ending now, game. I don't know. Have you called upon the power of friendship to defeat the source of all evil in the universe yet? Oh, for fuck's sake! Why is that my job? I find lost cats and hit things with swords. I'm not Siddhartha fucking Gautama. We just go to the same hairdresser.